Hi, this is TypeMath.online. I'm going to give you a quick overview of how to use it. This video is probably going to get a little bit lengthy, but I'm trying to get through things as quickly as I can because I don't want to waste your time. I want you up and running as fast as possible. Now, the first thing I'll tell you is there's a complete list of how to type a lot of these symbols down here. I know it's not a good set of instructions. That's why we've got this video. We're also making a keyboard. Right now, it's just got some buttons for square roots and other roots, so that's in its very infancy. If you check the site out today, who knows, maybe something has happened since I made this video. So let me get myself out of the way. I use this website all the time when I'm tutoring online. This is on a pretty big monitor, so I have to zoom in. You know, it's not perfect. The zoom makes things a little bit weird and wonky, but that's okay. We get by. So I've got a list of things that I'm going to explain, and then I'm going to show you a few examples of how I use the site. So firstly, if I just type, the text looks weird, and you'll notice that you get something weird around this F here. So you'll find that all sorts of functions that you would know the names of, like sine or cosine, are going to format nicely. So if I try and write the word tangent, I get this weird thing. So if you want to type text on the site, you actually do \text, and then you can press space to create a text box that you can type in. Here's something that's really important to know. When you leave that text box, put a space. If you don't, when you go to another tab and come back, what you typed will disappear. It's terrible, I know, we're working on it, but you need to know this tip right now. So that's how you type text, easy. Moving on. To create a new line, press enter. One of my favorite qualities about this site is when you make a new line, it copies down all the text from the line above, and you're gonna see why that's so handy in just a minute. If you wanna delete a line, you press escape. Easy as that. We have also added Control Z, so if you delete a line by accident, you can get it back. How do we type arithmetic symbols? Great question. So plus, minus, they work as normal. If you use an asterisk, which is Shift 8 on your keyboard, you're going to get this dot. Americans are going to find this very familiar. Australian students are probably going to be confused by it. They won't understand it. So you can also use backslash times, press space, and you get that. Similarly, you can do backslash div, press space, and then you get that. If you want a fraction, you can type a /. If you press /, you immediately get a fraction. If you were writing, say you wanted to write 1/2, you can write the 1 first, / gives you a fraction with the 1 in the numerator, then you get 1/2. Really easy to do. Roots, you do sqrt. Everything, of course, starts with that backslash, and then you press space at the end. Boom, you get a root. Now, I don't even actually know the command to get a root, say like the nth root. So if you want to do that, then what I recommend is you come down, hit the button that's below my cloud here, and then boom, we get a root where you can put in the nth root. Like if you wanted to do a cube root, you could do it this way. You can see that we've got a little bit of a scaling issue there. The 3's kind of cut off. It's not perfect. It does a great job. Usually, if I wanted to type a cube root, I would actually put a power of 3 there. That's not so good for our calculator. Our calculator doesn't know what I'm talking about, but anyone reading it, a human reading it, does. So if you want to do a power, you use the caret symbol. So you hold Shift and press 6 on your keyboard. That moves you up into a power. You can put a fraction in a power. You can put a power in a fraction in a power. It nests. It's great. Just like using the caret symbol, Shift 6 can do a power. You can also use an underscore, so Shift and then the hyphen button, and then that lets you do a subscript. This is really handy, and you're going to see how it comes in when we're doing the bounds in an integral, for example. Okay, so next thing, how do we use TypeMath as an arithmetic calculator? So if I do 2 plus 3 and I hold Control Shift Enter, TypeMath creates a new line, says it equals 5. Now, there are some things about this that work really nicely and some things that don't. So firstly, if you have any sort of fraction, you're going to get a very long decimal expansion. That's probably more useful than it is annoying, but often I find just to make it easier for my students, I will have to make that, a reasonable number of decimal places. Okay, what else can we do in terms of the calculator? So if I do SQRT 16, we get a sensible answer. Now, we have a problem, however, let me just use that button to do the nth root. If I try and do the cube root of 8, we get something weird. We don't know what's going wrong yet. We'll figure it out and fix it. But as I said, that's not a common thing to encounter. So it's not a high priority on our to-do list. I will also point out that you can do pi. If you calculate pi, you're going to get this. We've hard-coded that value in, so you'll notice it's not as many decimal points as the other calculations gave. We can do roots. We can also do trig functions. Trig functions are always interpreted to be in radians. So sine of pi gives us this. This is super annoying. I mean, you can probably tell if you're a maths person, this is 0.000000005. That's basically zero. It's really annoying that we get that. Again, it's not perfect, but we make it work. Just use a real calculator for trig. I don't know. We'll fix it one day. What else can we do here? So we can do trig. If I put in 90, it would just assume that that was 90 radians. So we don't get sine of 90 degrees. You'll see when I show you examples, the calculator is really handy if you have messy arithmetic. So we'll get to an example of that. Now the Greek letters, just like pi, are pretty easy to type. Sometimes if you use a capital, you get a different letter. So that's also handy to know. You can type whatever Greek letter you need for your question. How do you type other symbols? Well, I think the most important other symbols to be familiar with are integrals. You can do a bounded integral. You can also do a sum symbol. If anything else comes to me while I'm making this video, I'll mention it. You can experiment. The one thing we can't do on TypeMath that really just crushes my soul is matrices. It's not easy yet to do matrices. We're going to figure that out because the basis of everything here is using LaTeX, and LaTeX can do matrices. So it must be possible. We just haven't figured it out yet. Okay, other shortcuts. So we know that we can make a new line or delete a line. If you hold Control and use the arrow keys, you can move up and down. You can also, by doing Control Enter, you can switch to a two-sided equation. So you can have y equals mx plus b, and you can move between the left and right of that equation using the arrow keys. If you do a calculation, Control Shift Enter, it's going to calculate just the side of the equation you're on. If I was on the other side with the y and I did that, it would say cannot evaluate because y is not an arithmetic problem. You can also switch between single and double-sided equations by using the check mark here. Let's see, moving the cursor we've done, changing the equation style we've done, super delete. Basically, if you do Control Delete, you lose everything that was on the line. Of course, if you do that by accident, we still have the Control Z functionality to undo that. All right, so that's a whirlwind of all these basics. So I hope that that makes sense for you. I want to show you some examples just so you can see exactly how powerful this can be when you're doing math work with your students. So the first thing I've got here is an example. I've typed up the quadratic equation. Now, suppose we were then going to sub some values in. Let's say b is 9. Let's say, so if I highlight a and then type a bracket, it's automatically going to put brackets on both sides of the a. So we could say that's a 3. And then let's say c is 1. So then that is a 3 there. Now, if I do Control Shift Enter, we get cannot evaluate. The reason we get cannot evaluate is we have a plus minus here. So I'm going to make that a plus. I'm going to make a new line, and I'm going to make that a minus. And then I'm going to come up here, Control Shift Enter. We get one answer. Control Shift Enter. We get another answer. That's how easy it is. You don't have to enter it into your calculator. You especially don't have to enter it into your calculator twice. Now, of course, if you wanted to simplify this and get a surd answer, that's not hard to do either. So let me just, I'm just going to get this out of the way there. So 4 times 3 times 1 is 12. 9 squared is 81. Woo! 2 times 3 is 6. So 81 minus 12, what's that? 69. I hope I'm doing my mental maths correctly. It's this easy to just simplify things as you go. Now, let's see, we can't pull a factor of 2 or 3 out of the square root of 69. So I'm probably just going to leave my answer there like that. And of course, we know that that could be written as a plus or minus rather than a minus. All right, one example down. You can tell I'm talking quick. I really don't want to waste your time. Let's go into this example of compound interest. I just want to show you exactly how powerful the arithmetic calculator is. So here we're looking at a compound interest problem. We have $40,000 invested, compounding at 6.5% per annum, compounding monthly for 3 years. And then that amount is reinvested at 7.5% per annum, compounding monthly for 3 years. Control-Shift-Enter, there's our answer. Now, suppose we wanted to know how much, if we did this for 10 years, so I've kind of restructured it, we do 3 years at the 6.5, and then we do 7 years at the 7.5. This is just an example I was doing with a student the other day. That's why it seems so arbitrary. Say we wanted to know how much we earned in the 10th year, right? What we would do is we would take all of this, we would then subtract how much we earn in the first 9 years, Control-Shift-Enter, that's how much interest we gained in the 10th year. That's how handy this is. It was so easy to just copy paste that whole thing, change one tiny little piece and get the answer. So much easier than actually using a calculator. Here's another compound interest formula. It says $5,000 is invested at 5.7% compounded quarterly for 4 years. How much would have to be invested with a 4.2% per annum compounded monthly for 4 years for it to be equal? Well, all we have to do is once we've typed all of this up, we just cut that off, we make a fraction over here, Control-Shift-Enter, boom, there's our answer. We didn't even have to calculate how much we would get initially to work it out. We just have to do the algebra. That's how handy this site is. Okay, let me show you one more example. This one's a little bit more laborious. So say we're doing this integral here. First thing, obviously, I can see that we can cancel out a factor of x. I'm just going to put a space there so it's easier to read. All right, so now when we take this integral, we're going to use a subscript for a 1 and then a superscript like a power for a 3. And then in here, we're going to have, what's that going to be? X cubed plus 2x squared. Again, I hope my mental maths is not embarrassing me right now. So in this step, I'm going to put a closing bracket. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go subtract and then paste. So now I can put in a 1 here, and I can put in a 1 here. Whoops. And then I can put in a 3 here, and I can put in a 3 here, and then Control-Shift-Enter. Boom. How easy is that? I love it. Anyway, this has been a quick overview because I just wanted to really supplement what I understand are crappy instructions at the moment. The theme you've probably picked up so far is that this site is not perfect. We know it's not perfect. We're working on it. We want to make it better, but it is so useful already. Now, I appreciate that you've watched this far. If you're a little bit curious, I want to show you a couple other little tidbits. Firstly, we have this change theme button up here. I put that there so that we could have a white background. This allows me to do a screenshot so that I can then take something and then put it into a OneNote or a Word document or anything that I'm sharing and working on with my student or for my own assignment or something. Another thing we can do, if you're signed in, you can actually save tabs. So I don't even know what I've got saved here. Let's check it out. Q1, what was Q1? Well, if I open that, it's some linear, like two-step equation question that I've got here. So you can save questions, which means that you can open them and edit them or reuse them later for something else. What's this one here? So I've given someone a test, so I've got a question, I don't know. All sorts of stuff. BODMAS, here we go. Heaps of order of operations questions that when I have a student who's working on order of operations, I can just open this up and boom, we're ready to go. Now, if I edit this, like that, I can choose either to update my saved version or I can not update my saved version, in which case I can reuse exactly the same saved version later. Also, I could download as a PDF. Let me show you what that looks like. If I hit download as PDF, give it a moment to download, here's what we get. We have title, obviously I hadn't entered one, author, obviously I hadn't entered one, today's date. This was the name of my first tab, here's the working I had in it. Second tab, here's the working I had in it. Third tab. So this is really, really handy for anyone doing like university assignments, for example. This is a really, really useful way to take your work, type it up, make it look nice and neat, and submit it. We even have the line numbers from each tab, so it's really easy if you're writing a summary to refer to what you did going from line 2 to line 3, for example. What else can be done? Oh, and had I clicked current tab only, it would have only downloaded the BODMAS instead of everything, right? Because that downloaded everything. If I do current tab only, I just get the current tab. Pretty intuitive. I also, you'll notice there's this little button here, and it says type the email that you want to share with. So this is one of our newest features. I can, if my students make an account, I can share this BODMAS worksheet, for example, with my students directly. It will appear here for them and they can open it up. You can't do it because you don't have the admin privileges I do to switch it on and off. So I'm letting you know this is a feature we're going to release pretty soon, and probably we're going to make some small subscription fee applicable if you want to be able to share documents with your students. Everything else on the site is completely free, fun, and get into it. I'm really excited to see what people will come up with. Log out, not many options there. Everything else is very simple. Also, this is a really satisfying one. Reset tabs, boom, clean, nothing to worry about. Can you tell I've had my coffee yet today? All right, I'm gonna leave it there. I hope this has been useful. Obviously, it's been a lot longer than I would like it to have been. I hope you don't feel like I've wasted your time, and I hope that you get a lot of value out of this site, whether you're a tutor, a uni student, a high school student, a high school teacher, or just someone who likes to do algebra. This is the tool for you. TypeMaths.online. Thank you.